Are you ready?
My coach, Barbara H. Smith. Why did I hire her? Because she's the best.
Barbara H. Smith is a powerhouse. She just walks in the room and grabs your attention, and she does that in a way that just makes you feel loved and like she's paying attention to you. She cares about you, and she wants to see you be your best self.
She was able to dig inside and find the passion that was deep within me.
Barbara's energy is one of the reasons that I had to have her as my coach. I love the way she is real with people.
The reason I felt like I needed a coach was because I have some big goals and I needed to build my confidence. I knew that Barbara could help me do that.
I felt that I could trust her.
I would definitely recommend to get coaching from Barbara H. Smith if you feel like you need to level up your confidence. She would just help you feel like bold, like you can take on the world.
She has really shown me who I am. She has changed my mindset to a place that I know that I am more powerful today than I would have ever been if I had never met Barbara Smith.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh my goodness. Oh my gracious. Oh my God. We are back again. It is the first day of June. Can you believe it? I'm super excited that we have this show to help showcase business owners and people in the community that are doing great things. Oh my God, today is no different. We have a super special guest today. But before I bring her up, I just want to talk to you about your health. Get it checked. Just saying. Next up, we want to talk to our beautiful co-host, the super sassy, sexy, spicy Shani Smith.
It's June 1st. Hello, everybody. I just want to say thank you all for watching, for tuning in with us, chiming in, and just really being there. And what she said about the health, for sure.
Yeah, that part. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But first, I just want to say we have the most sensational guests on our show. So if you're tuning in for the very first time, you don't want to miss it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know exactly when we come on. Every Thursday, we are live. And even if you watch the replay, please do comment. Hashtag. Tell us what you want to see more of. We've got an exciting contest coming up at the end of the show. Hang on and let's talk about our new guest. Whew. Clients call her calm and gentle. And working with her is like being with a friend who cares. But she wields the power of a talented healer, a mesmerizing hypnotist, and the mastermind behind the revered Heart of Fire healing empire, spanning an impressive 12 years. A sought-after speaker and Amazon best-selling author of You Are Not Your Diagnosis, she unravels the secrets to liberating women plagued with chronic health symptoms, infusing them with boundless energy and gifting them the priceless treasures of peace of mind, like I always say, priceless, meaning and independence. She emerges as a beacon of understanding and compassion, embracing her clients with a profound sense of empathy, which was born out of her own experience of a life-changing health crisis. Fueled by unwavering passion, she is on a mission to spread the life-altering revelation that we, our bodies, possess an innate power to conquer the most difficult health challenges. Listen, as long as you have support, this woman here is a force to be reckoned with. She's a catalyst for healing, a testament of the invincible spirit of the body, and the moment is now. So let the miracles begin and unfold, and help me welcome Lynn Del Mastro Thompson.
Ooh, and the crowd goes, wow, okay.
Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Good morning for me, good afternoon for you.
Where are you hailing from?
I live in Arizona, northern Arizona.
Wow, so
Valley.
2 time zones or 3?
3.
3, but
So
they don't do the
We
time
don't do
difference.
daylight savings, so right now we're in line with Pacific time.
That's awesome. Welcome to the show. We are so grateful you're here. Let me tell you, we got some health challenges as women, don't we?
Yes, we do. And unfortunately, the number of people dealing with health challenges just seems to rise. So it's another reason I'm so passionate about helping people.
That is so good. I always let my co-host go first with her questions. So today is no different. So let you go, Shani. Release the Kraken.
I mean, Lynn, you're talking about something that's right up my alley, because I know that food is a healer, and also your mind as well, because there are so many times that people have just said, you know what, this runs in my family, and have accepted that as their diagnosis as well, when in fact, what are we talking? 10% really is genetic?
Even less than that from things that I've read. Some people say it's 5, some people say it's 3.
But how many people have you met that are just so willing to say, well, my parents had diabetes, it's only a matter of time, or those kind of things, and not even realizing how much control that we have.
Super common. Yeah, it seems to be everyone just thinks, oh, well, that's my destiny then, grandma had that, grandpa had this, mom has this, I'm going to get it too. I might as well just be prepared for it. And I don't really believe that's the case. I don't think that has to be the case.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't happen.
And I happen to know that you have an incredible healing story. So I'm not even going to ask you a question. I'm going to let you go right into it.
Yeah. So my story began when I was in my 20s. I was actually 25, going to graduate school. And I went in for elective surgery. I was going to have a breast reduction. And I got the craziest phone call the night before surgery from my surgeon saying, your blood work doesn't look right. So he sent me back over to the hospital and said, run the labs again. Sometimes weird things happen in lab tests, and let's just make sure that this is the case. So I rush over to the hospital, get a phone call, and he says, yeah, it's not a lab error. We can't do surgery. And that was what I was left with that night, was just go see your primary doctor as soon as possible. I can't do surgery.
Wait.
So I went,
How are you supposed to sleep with that?
Yeah, exactly. How do you fall asleep with that? No information other than it's bad enough that a doctor can't do surgery.
So he didn't even tell you why you need to go see your primary care physician? He didn't say, I saw this, nothing?
Nope. It was just like, it's not safe for me to do surgery was basically the message, and then go get checked out. So that was.
I gotta go to Elvis. I didn't sleep at all last night. What?
There were quite a few moments in this story where that was the case, where I didn't sleep at all, because I had some very weird and just not normal experiences as I went through this journey. So, I get to the primary doctor, I think the next day. I can't remember if it was the next day. As soon as I could, they do more lab tests, and all of these things start kind of unfolding. And then the next thing I know is I get a phone call from another doctor who I have never heard of before. And I've never met anyone who's gotten a phone call from a doctor that they've never seen before. Like, this is just not a normal thing, right? I'm seeing the look on your face like.
So where did they get the information from if you've never seen the doctor before?
My primary was referring me to this doctor, but he hadn't called me to say, hey, heads up, you're going to get a phone call from this guy. Like, be prepared. It was just like the next thing I know, which it was great. This guy was proactive, but at the same time, it was kind of like out of the blue.
Right.
That's not great.
More scary.
It was very scary, and so he said, how are you feeling? And I'm like, well, other than being completely freaked out, because this is not a normal situation, right? To get a phone call from a doctor that you don't know, I'm okay. And he said, well, if you don't have any symptoms, come meet me at the hospital tomorrow. But if you have symptoms, come to the hospital tonight. And I was
symptoms.
And I was like so shocked, like in that moment, I didn't even think to ask that question, because I was just like, what? The me of now looking back would be like, well, what are you talking about? Symptoms, huh? And the me of then was like, okay, what? So another night I didn't hardly sleep, just like worried, kind of looking at my body like a ticking time bomb. Go to the hospital the next morning, meet him, and he said, well, we think you've clotted off the veins that drain your liver. And that doesn't sound good.
You what?
Clotted off the veins that drain the liver. So no blood flow is going out of the liver.
You clotted them off.
My body, you know, like my body had created a blood clot there. And that's what they thought they were seeing in all of these lab tests. And so he said, we have to figure out why, because obviously that's not like a normal thing that should happen in a person.
None of this is normal. None
of this is normal. And this experience that you'll hear seems very normal. I sometimes describe it as living through a Lifetime movie. You know, it feels very strange to go back and tell you all of the things that happened. So he sends in another specialist to try to figure out, why did I clot off the veins that drain my liver? And they try to do a bone marrow biopsy. That guy can't actually do it because he gives me just a local and he says, you're just going to feel some pressure, which was not my experience at all. That was probably the complete opposite of my experience, was not just a little pressure, extreme pain. And he had to stop. And so it basically went down this process of, you know, they're trying to do diagnostics in this hospital that's local to where I live. Then they say, we're going to transfer you somewhere else because we don't have
procedure.
What?
For the procedure?
For the procedure, and also because they didn't have any experience to open up the veins in the liver. They've never done that process in that hospital before because it's rare. So they said, we're going to send you to like a major medical center, you know, a couple hours away. I was living in California at the time. And they send me there. They open up the veins that drain my liver. They do this process. And then they actually successfully do a bone marrow biopsy. So at this point, we're about 2 weeks into the process. And I've had symptoms by this point. My belly actually swelled up because I had all this fluid because my liver couldn't work properly. So I looked probably about 6 to 7 months pregnant all of a sudden, which was crazy as well. And people were like, how many months are you? And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. Like, because I had to go fly from where I was to another hospital because it was too expensive basically to use medical transport. So my whole world was turned upside down 2 weeks into this. And then finally I'm told, okay, like the head of your team at this medical center is going to come in and going to talk to you about what we think is going on. So he comes in and my parents are there with me and I'm laying in the hospital bed and he says, we think that you have chronic myelogenous leukemia. And as soon as you hear the word leukemia, it felt like all the oxygen was sucked out of the room. Like my brain just started going as fast as, you know, possible, racing with all of the thoughts. Does this mean I need a bone marrow transplant? Do I need chemotherapy? Like, what does this all mean?
Right.
You know, and it's amazing in those situations how fast your brain can think. Like you can probably think that many thoughts in about 20 seconds. So I hear, no, we don't have to do bone marrow or bone marrow transplant. We don't have to do chemo. They're going to give you this pill that is basically kind of like chemo in a pill to treat this particular condition. And then basically like, okay, well, we're going to release you and send you back home.
Wait. You just
like, no, you're not either. I'm staying right here until you guys give me some I want a whole book of instructions, you know, like what?
It's pretty crazy because that's, you know, they said you're just going to go back and you're going to be followed by the specialist who had actually tried to do the bone marrow where I was before, which
this ain't what we doing. This ain't that, and that ain't this. We not the guy who was supposed to open me up and didn't open me up because he wasn't supposed to open me up. You will send me back to him.
That was basically what happened. And I actually got stuck seeing that guy for 3 years and he was awful. And my primary doctor, I kept saying, I want to see somebody else. And he was like, no, like he's the best. We went to medical school together. And I was like,
see that right there. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. How does he know this guy and why is he greasing his hands?
Exactly. They went to medical school together. So his opinion of him was quite high, and he didn't want to give me a referral to another specialist, despite me asking probably dozens of times over the course of 3 years, because I was not happy with this guy. I mean, from the get-go, like, we have a bad relationship because he tells me you're just going to feel some pressure, and it's not just pressure, it's extreme pain.
Medical malpractice comes to my mind for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's another part of the story. We can go there if you
it goes even more. Okay.
if you want to, but yeah.
Oh my God, Lynn.
It was 3 years basically of seeing this doctor, being on a medication, and being told your lab tests look like this medication is working, and then me looking in the mirror and looking at my body every day and being like, I am not getting better. I'm turning into a human skeleton. I'm exhausted. Like, all of these things started happening. So I went from being, at the beginning of this, I was just like, I'm just a healthy 25-year-old to, looking horrible, knowing that I looked horrible. And the kicker was when I would see this specialist and he would ask, well, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I would say, I don't pad the truth. I was like, I don't feel well. I wonder why I'm losing this weight. I wonder what's going on. And his answer was always the same. You look great. And I was like, huh? That makes no sense, because if you can look in the mirror and see that you do not look great, that you do not look healthy, that is not a compliment to someone. Like, that is just a dismissal. That is medical gaslighting. There's so many things I could say about that.
I like that term, medical gaslighting. I like that.
Yes.
Well, I'm having a question about how my mom is feeling right now. Looking at her daughter, her child, your parents. What were they saying to you?
I mean, I can still remember in the actual hospital room hearing that news, and my mom was just like sobbing, because I'm an only child too. So she was just like my baby, like crying her eyes out, and then they knew I wasn't doing well. They would come visit me fairly frequently, try to be there to, help me because I wasn't doing well. And my mom knew that something wasn't right. We all knew something wasn't right. And whenever we tried to get that referral, wouldn't get it. Went back, actually, the other crazy part of the story, we go back to the hospital where they did the diagnosis to do like an outpatient appointment, walk in, and after having been in that hospital for 10 days, they have medical records on you, right? Right. It's a clinic associated with that. They open a file folder. The file folder is empty. And the doctor is like, excuse me, what are you here for? And I'm like, what?
No.
So we wasted a whole trip up there and then had to spend the whole time telling her my history instead of her having my history and being able to actually have a conversation about, hey, like, is this actually the correct diagnosis? What's going on? We don't understand.
Oh my God. And how many people in the audience across the globe are experiencing moments like this, where you're not being listened to. Your doctor is telling you that you look great and things are fine, and you don't even challenge, which is where we're going now. You don't even challenge the doctor to say, something's not right. Something's not right. Yeah, where we are in this conversation is that point. Right. Because you were 25 years old and you really didn't know you could challenge an authority figure about how you feel. How did you maneuver that?
It was quite an experience of trying to navigate through that, because like you said, I didn't really know like what I know now. Like, the me of now does not put up with that kind of thing. When I do have to deal with the medical system, I'm like, you don't want to listen to me, then you're fired, but the me of 25 was like, I guess this is normal, like, this is what happens and I just have to take it. Yeah. So it was really a journey of starting to actually listen to my own self in order to be able to navigate through that. Like, I started to move beyond looking to doctors to help me and be like, what else is there? Because this, quite frankly, sucks. This is not helping me.
Yeah. And You know, case in point, I had a doctor visit yesterday. It was quite interesting. Yeah. And so I get called. My husband and my mom have this conversation constantly about how doctors have you waiting in the waiting room for 30 minutes or 40 minutes before they'll see you. My doctor is not that. Thank you, Hampton Family Medical Practice.
That's
Never
awesome.
that. So I'm sitting there. I just sit down. I'm getting ready to grab for my phone to start playing a game to pass the time for them to call me. I don't even get the phone out. And I
Awesome.
hear Ms. Smith. And I was like, did she say Barbara Smith? So I said, because it's so fast. So I said, did you say Barbara Smith? She said, I did. So I walk back with her, the nurse, and sit down, and she starts the vitals right away. I mean, she's triaging right away. I mean, there's no. So the story is my husband and my mother had this conversation about they don't even let you sit down and let your blood pressure rest so you can take the blood pressure.
Right.
They never do. They never do for me. So she
Right.
takes the blood pressure and she said it's 112/70. So for those of you out there who don't know what that is, it's phenomenal. So
Yes.
but the next comment was what was crazy. The nurse says, I said, that's phenomenal. She goes, oh, you must be you taking your blood pressure medicine consistently? Wait, what? I don't take blood pressure medicine. She goes, well, then that's phenomenal. Isn't that what I just said?
Right.
So she assumed,
Right.
why would she assume that I'm on blood pressure medicine? Oh, I got a couple of ideas of my own.
Yeah. Oh, I certainly do too.
I'm just saying.
Right.
We talked before the show about how there is inequity in the healthcare system. And that's one of the things that we, as everybody, not just as women, not just as African American women, just people in general, have to take your health into your own hands. Talk some about how you did that.
Yeah. So for me, the journey started with, well, as I think one of you said, you know, I didn't get an instruction manual when I got this diagnosis. The only thing that I was offered several months later was you can go to a cancer support group, which I remember hearing that and thinking that sounds like the worst possible thing for me. Because I don't know if I knew the word empath at the time, but I knew I was highly sensitive to other people's feelings. And the idea of like sitting in a room with other people going through chemotherapy, I was like, hard pass. No, thank you. That was the only resource they gave me. And so I was like, my whole life, I felt like a snow globe where I had been, you know, shaken around. Everything was like out of place. And I was anxious all the time. I was depressed. I was, you know, just dealing with all of these things. And the first part of my journey was just learning some tools. I went to see somebody who did something called biofeedback. So she hooked me up to all these sensors like on my fingers and around my waist. And then it fed that information into a computer. And on that computer, I could see in real time, like what was happening in my body. And she said, well, start taking deep breaths. And you could watch on the screen and things started to change. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool, right? Like I can see before my eyes the power of something as simple as just learning how to breathe properly.
I want you to pause right there. Breathing properly, because the audience needs to understand it is one of the most magnificent tools that our spirit world, God, whoever you want to call him, has given us.
Exactly.
And I learned from a practitioner, a holistic practitioner, that we typically breathe shallowly. And it creates more toxins in our lungs. And so every time I think about breathing, you know, thought breathing, I breathe more deeply because I want those toxins at the bottom of my lungs to escape. Flee, flee, release.
Get out. Don't want you.
Get out of here so I can keep this phenomenal blood pressure.
Exactly. And when your diaphragm moves too, it massages like your liver and all of the organs below too. So it does a whole bunch of other things. Yeah.
Say that again for the audience.
Yeah. So when your diaphragm, which is like at the bottom of your rib cage, that kind of dome shaped muscle, when it moves properly, when you take a nice deep breath, which I see you're doing there, it descends and it actually massages the organs that are below, including your liver. So that is part of how your liver actually gets support in doing its beautiful work of detoxifying the body. Is if you hold your breath all the time or you're shallow breathing, your poor liver is like, help, I need movement.
Wow. And, you know, for me, particularly when I'm concentrating, I notice that I'm holding my breath. Whenever I'm trying to really do something, I'm like, wait, breathe through this. It makes it easier. Hello.
Yeah.
You know, but take for granted this involuntary thing that you have going on that, you know, your body just does. But yeah, I'm always holding it.
And that's so common. That's actually when I started my business. I started doing lots of breathing work with people because I was like, this is such a simple, powerful tool that most people don't even pay any attention to.
And although I'm not a holistic practitioner, I am a coach. And so I do breathing exercises with clients all the time because I do know how powerful it is. And it helps them, especially when they come and they're anxious to begin with. They don't know what to expect. They don't know how you're going to be able to help them, because if they could help themselves, they wouldn't be coming to you. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So I see your website is scrolling on the bottom. Is that the best way to contact you?
Yes, that's the best way to contact me. And there's actually a place where it says contact me if you want to.
And that is for the people who are just listening and not watching. How can we contact you?
Yes. So the website is heartfirehealingllc.com.
Awesome.
That's heart, HEART, fire, FIRE, healing, HEALING with the LLC on the end.com. Make sure you reach out to Lynn. She is a phenomenal healer, hypnotist, and coach that's going to help you get through whatever your challenges are. We know that life is lifing out here, and it's not about if it's going to happen. Life is happening all around us. We are bombarded with the news. We are bombarded with our family issues, and it hurts our health, even when we don't think so. And so it's something as simple as breathing and breathing deeply can help you. We're glad you got help today. Thank you so much, Lynn, for being here with us. We got more coming up after the break. We're going to go to a commercial break and we're going to be right back. But we got more to talk about with Lynn, how she started her practice, why she started her practice, and why she is so passionate about helping heal the hurts of people mentally, physically, and spiritually. Spiritually. First day with my new mouth. We'll be right back. I am a child of the Most High God. He has gifted me in ways that I could not even imagine and didn't know. There was a time when I didn't know who I was. I listened to other people tell me who I should be, what I should do. I listened to people telling me that I should be a boutique owner, that I should be a construction manager, that I should be a laborer. Have you ever felt like you should do something else, be something else, go somewhere else, be wherever you wanted to be, and you felt like you were in a box? Anybody in the room? And you couldn't get out. Anybody in the room? And you kept trying to go and you couldn't get out. Anybody in the room? But let me tell you, you need to rock the box. Rock the box. I am engaging, inspiring, and empowering. I would give you everything I know. Just by touching you, if I could, by osmosis, give you every single thing I've learned, I've gone through, I know I would. We know that's not possible, but as it is possible, I love to share information with people. Some of you out there, people have told you that you can't be, you can't have, you can't do. But I will tell you, like Kingston said, you can, you must, and you will. If it's to be, it's going to be me. You got to say it. If it's to be, it's going to be. If it's to be, it's going to be. If it's to be, it's going to be.
Barbara is because she believed what her mama said about her and not what other people told her.
Every day you wake up, when you're in a situation, it's your choice whether it's an advantage or the disadvantage.
She gained her confidence and her life, and now she is a testimony.
If I can help you elevate yourself, then I feel like I'm elevating my own self as well. What you know and I know together can change the world. I don't know what happened. Did it skip for you guys?
No, not at all.
Okay. Maybe it's my signal on this side. So
your blood pressure, because it's so phenomenal. It's doing its own thing.
You're breaking the internet too.
We are back. We are so happy you're here. We're so happy you're back. For a segue, just a short slide pause in what we're talking about. We're talking also behind the scenes about being a speaker. If you're interested in becoming a speaker and you need help, we got you. Just go to barbarahsmith.com. Barbara, 2 bars and an A, hsmith.com. And we'll be glad to help you with your speaker stuff. Listen, the speaker reel is compartmentalized. You have 3 major parts. You want to see the person who is speaking, yes, but you want to see the audience's reaction. And in that audience reaction, you want to also add a testimonial. If you can do those 3 things, it is called a speaker reel. Put a header and a back end with contact information, and there you have it. So for Lynn and the rest of the audience, that's what a speaker reel is comprised of. You want to show your prospective client, the person who's asking you for speaking examples, samples, and show me what you can do. Show me what you're working with. You want to give them something that they can see all of those 3 things. So back to your regularly scheduled programming. We're back with Lynn Damastro-Thompson. Now, first, before we go back to the medical conversation, what caused you to dash your name?
Yeah, so I started my business before I was married. So a lot of people knew me as Lynn Del Mastro. And then when I got married, I was like, it seems a little confusing in business to just completely change it. But my husband was like, I really want you to also have my name. So that's how it happened.
There you go. There you go. And I did mine for a different reason. Mine is not dashed, but it's Barbara Holmes Smith, because Barbara Smith's kind of common. I don't know if you've heard that name before. Just saying.
A couple times.
Yeah.
and on a serious note, once your IRS records get jacked and your dental records get jacked and your medical records get jacked up, you figure out something to do with your name other than Barbara Smith. Yeah.
Yes, so, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Shani, we're back. What we got?
We're back. With all that you went through, Lynn, what is the one piece of advice or maybe a few things, some key lessons that you would tell somebody about how to advocate for themselves?
Good question.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that my story clearly illustrates is don't take no for an answer. Because I did take no for an answer at the time. 3 years later, I actually finally saw a different specialist and found out that this was a misdiagnosis. So we didn't even touch on that piece of the story. I didn't have chronic myelogenous leukemia.
Well, we want to touch on that part of the story.
Hold up, pause. I know we have other things to talk about, but wait a minute. After you took this chemo pill and everything?
Yes. I had something completely, well, it's kind of in the same family as chronic myelogenous leukemia, but a lot different at the same time.
You let that roll off your tongue like it's no thing. I mean, I know you've been dealing with it for a few years. But slow it down so we can understand what you just said.
I did not have chronic myelogenous leukemia. That's the bottom line.
Myelogenous leukemia.
Right.
That sounds like it would kill you altogether, just saying it.
Yeah, it was, I remember hearing, like I said, that term and that diagnosis, and it was terrifying. It was truly terrifying. And then to find out, 3 years later, when you've been saying the whole time, like, why do you keep saying my labs look good? I feel like I'm getting worse. This doesn't make sense. Suddenly it made sense, right? Because it was wrong. It was the wrong diagnosis.
Then where did you go? Then what
So
did you
they're
do?
literally
Then,
just practicing. Literally.
Yeah.
then what did you do when you heard that it was a misdiagnosis?
Had a whole lot of emotions first, had to process that, both relief because I finally felt heard in that experience. Felt really angry because it took 3 years, and it wasn't like I had just been sitting back for that 3 years, just assuming everything was fine. I had been questioning. I just hadn't been given answers. And eventually I did actually pursue a medical malpractice case because I just felt like there needed to be accountability. And I never wanted that to happen to somebody else because I hadn't spoken up.
Walk me through the day you got, how did you come to a different doctor? And
Yes.
then walk me through getting to the different doctor and then hearing the diagnosis as being incorrect.
Right. So it took me the 3 years to kind of work up the courage to say, I actually don't want to be in the graduate program I was in, which kept me stuck with the health insurance that I had because my insurance was student health insurance. And that kept me stuck with that doctor. That was my primary.
Oh, because I couldn't figure out why would she still stay with this doctor?
It was, yeah, I was like caught in the web of like insurance basically. And, that was the time before we had kind of what we have now with Obamacare. And what I had as insurance as a student was not considered, quote, creditable coverage. And of course, I have a diagnosis of leukemia. So I can't just walk out the door and be like, I need different health insurance.
Pre-existing condition.
I had to find my way through this, and I had to get basically stable enough to the point where I could go get a job, because that was really the only way I could get health insurance, was to get a job that gave me health insurance. And when you're really sick, I was like, I couldn't work. So I could stay in my graduate program, keep that health insurance at least, and have some coverage.
Wow.
A whole web of just inequities, just a whole in every place.
Yeah,
I can't even put words to it. I'm like totally tongue-tied. Like,
yeah,
you're literally stuck.
I literally felt stuck like in a spider web. It's like, how can I get out of this? It's I need health insurance because I'm sick. I can't get any other health insurance because I'm sick.
I can't work because I'm sick.
So what am I supposed to do? And it took kind of 3 years and me working outside of that medical system on my health to get to the place I was stable enough that I could get a job that I think get about 32 hours a week, they would give me health insurance.
She's the weeds.
I think this is the first time we had silence on the set. Like,
I mean,
nuts.
We're in and this is the society that we're in, right? Where you're literally the have and the have-nots. If you have it, you can kind of navigate and do what you want to do. But if not, you're stuck under the foot. I ain't even going to say the thumb, under the foot of the whole system.
Yep. I felt completely trapped, and it was like, well, I can't get out of this until I got to that place where I was like, okay, now I'm better enough, even though it wasn't easy at that time to go out and get a job. I wasn't really that healthy at that point, but I was like, I have to just get out of this situation and get different health insurance so that I can get a different primary doctor who will give me a referral to a different specialist.
What was the job that you first got out?
I was a bank teller.
Wow. Standing on your feet all day.
Luckily it was a small bank, so I actually got to sit.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy for me to do that because I didn't feel well. I was dealing with exhaustion and just other symptoms from not being correctly treated for the right thing.
So you get to this job, you now have different health insurance. You now go to a different primary care physician.
Correct.
You get to the primary care physician, what happens?
First order of business is please give me a referral. Like, I have this diagnosis. I don't like my specialist. Give me a referral to a new specialist. And she was like, sure. She pulls out her magic referral pad of paper, and like happily writes me a referral to someone else. And like, it's that easy, right? When somebody's willing to, but it was that hard for 3 years because nobody wanted to listen to me.
Is there any other advocacy that you could have with the same doctor you had? Say, listen, this is not right. I want to be referred to someone else. Like, is there not a medical board or a medical advocacy group or a medical somebody that you could say, listen, this is for the people in the audience who may be experiencing the same thing. Listen, I know my body. This is not right. This doctor has referred me to this doctor. I don't want this doctor. I need a different opinion. Is there something?
I think that would probably be knowing, what I know now. That route I would go is I would go to a medical board, or I would find some sort of patient advocate group and say, I need help getting out of this situation, And again, it goes back to being in my mid-20s, and I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of at the mercy of the system and didn't know how to do that research for myself at the time.
And that is why we're having this conversation. For those of you who are listening, we're chiming in with Lynn Thompson about how you get advocacy for yourself. If you feel like you need another opinion, if you feel you're being mistreated, if you feel like the medical advice you're being given is not in alignment with what is going on with you, seek. Come on, Lynn, help me. Who should they seek?
I would say, like reach out to medical boards, reach out to, I think there's a lot of hospitals have patient advocates. That would be another person you could work with. Find your own patient advocate. Like, that's a term you could search probably on the internet, like patient advocate and in your area, because sometimes you need somebody to help you navigate it, somebody to give you a blueprint or a roadmap, and maybe even to go with you and say, she's not going to keep seeing this doctor. So what are you going to do?
That's so good.
And you get frustrated. So I know you have a gift for us, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So talking about frustration, and if you're frustrated by your symptoms, but you want a different way to look at them, that is the way that I want to share with you how to look at your symptoms differently, because I really also believe, we haven't kind of touched on this, I don't believe that our symptoms are necessarily bad. They're actually information from our bodies.
Yeah, it's your check engine light.
It's your check engine light. I love that. That's perfect. It's like your body saying, hey, something's up. Right. What are you going to do? Are you going to check your engine, or are you going to keep driving for another 1,000 miles with your check engine light on? I don't think you want to do that.
You don't want to do that. I mean, for sometimes you can read what the symptoms could be, and then you start feeling them. Is that normal? Am I the only one that thinks like, wait, is it hurting? I'm not sure. Am I the only one that does that?
A lot of people, go down that rabbit hole, right? We start searching on the internet, which can be a beautiful thing and also a scary thing, because there's a lot of information out there, and you can start thinking, maybe I have cancer, maybe I have this, maybe, it's something serious, and maybe it's just something small. So
yeah. And
I have to ask you, Lynn, after you found out your true diagnosis, did you go back to the other specialist?
I never went back to see him. I saw him in court.
But to see him.
I saw him in court.
Okay. I think I'd have to go back and like, how hard it was to memorize that diagnosis, and now I don't even have it.
Yeah. I think I was just so glad to be rid of him from my life that for me, I never really wanted to see him again, and seeing him in court was actually very painful and uncomfortable for me.
Dramatic, yeah.
I can imagine you were anxious.
Yeah.
Anxiety kind of took over for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think I'd be.
I think I saw him once when I was driving down the street and he was walking, and I was just like, oh my God, there's that man.
Yeah. If you envision yourself hitting him, I'm just saying, you don't have to admit it, but I'm
not going to admit that, but that might have crossed my mind, you know. But then I thought, I don't jail time and orange. I don't really want to do that.
There's some things that came across my mind that I won't divulge to other people, but yeah, walking down the street and I'm in a car. Yeah, that's not a good look for you, sir. That's not a good look for you.
No, thank goodness, like my rational mind was still on board. But I definitely would say
one of the side effects from that pill you gave me. I couldn't see. Was he there?
So we we get through the diagnosis of being not the diagnosis, and we're on the other side of this thing now. And all of a sudden, you decided to help people with this. What happens?
So I decided the kind of realization came to me as I was going through, actually in that 3-year period, when I was starting to explore these other things that helped me that weren't medical treatments, the biofeedback that I mentioned. I went to a therapeutic yoga class, which was kind of a funny story of like,
oh, tell us about the therapeutic. Tell us about the therapeutic yoga class, because that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So I was actually referred to this class by a therapist I was seeing at the time. And at first I thought she was crazy. I probably looked at her like she had 2 heads, because I'm like, hey, lady, I'm sick. And my only conception of what yoga was I had seen it in a gym. I had never done yoga before. I had seen it when people were in a gym and they're, bending into pretzels and they're standing on their heads. And I'm like, I can barely, walk across the room sometimes to go to the bathroom without being tired. Like, what are you telling me to go to yoga? And she said, just trust me, this is not what you're picturing. This is a completely different type of yoga. Just go to the class. And I built up enough trust in her that I was like, okay, all right, what do I have to lose? A couple hours of my time and whatever, $15, $20, $12 for the class. I go and we're laying on the floor the whole time. And they're talking about breathing. We're doing a lot of deep breathing. We're doing these very gentle movements. We have like pillows and bolsters and blankets under us. And I'm like, this is actually really nice. Like, this is very calming. And as I started to go to that class regularly, because I actually really did like it, even though in the beginning I was doubtful if I would, I consistently went and I noticed how much better it made me feel.
Wow.
I noticed I developed like a new relationship with my body. Like, I would have these thoughts as I'm laying there kind of in quiet on the floor, like, oh, maybe my body didn't fail me. Maybe my body has done the best that it can. And, now my job is to support my body so it can keep doing its job.
Wow.
Powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Was.
Powerful.
And so
let me go talk to my body.
That's what I love to tell people is we have to talk to our bodies. We have to talk and listen to our bodies.
Are those abs?
Somebody's telling me a few things that I don't really want to hear right now. Like, you need to get up off me. Some of this weight.
Yep.
It's telling me that for real. Like, no joke. It's telling me that.
Yeah.
Because again, I suffer sometimes with asthma. Typically, it's when there are allergens that present themselves, whether it's somebody's perfume that doesn't agree with me, I don't know what the ingredients are, or somebody's smoking that totally sends me to a place, or even dust. Like, my husband has to clean the house because I don't do dust. But another trigger for my asthma is being overweight. And so I can tell when I have to take a rescue inhale more often. That's a telltale sign for me that my body's saying, sis,
you'd feel
better.
I
told you.
You'd feel better, yeah.
I need to feel better so you can feel better. So let's do this. So anyway, your body does talk to you, and you need to definitely talk to it and say, okay, I hear you. I got you, sis. I'm gonna do better, I promise. I'm gonna leave that cheesesteak alone next time.
Have salad instead.
I had the salad and the cheesecake, so don't play. I mean, just saying.
Oh boy, yeah. It's hard to pass up desserts.
This is me, like, I don't want to hear it.
So, you start helping people, but how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I felt like I didn't go through what I went through for no reason. That was the realization that I came through. Like, I went through this experience. I went to kind of hell and back, really. And I felt like as I learned all of these things that really helped me, that became a passion for me to share that with other people. Because I wished, I think ultimately it comes down to, I wished I had a me walking with me down that path. And that's what I try to really offer my clients, is somebody to walk that journey with them.
Yeah. Shani just texted me, maybe a vegan cheesecake, vegan. Shani's a vegan, for you not to know. Let's talk about that for a second. Your body does talk to you. We already said that. But yes. Shani has found a way. I so wish I was in her head and in her mind to figure out this stuff. Because when I hear vegan, I know that a lot of people have turned down meat forever. I'm not that one yet. And I say yet because I feel more sluggish when I eat meat. And I know the difference. Like we talked about, the body's talking to you.
Right.
But I just have this thing again in my mind that vegan is nasty. And so I am having to rethink this thing and come up with, I got a chef on my team. She's a chef.
Yeah.
I need her to send me some recipes so that I can try some. But I don't like mushrooms. She says, well, they're all mushrooms. The thought of a mushroom going in my mouth is like thought of a coconut pieces going in my mouth.
And you don't have to have mushrooms.
Okay, so we're going to have a conversation because I got 30 days to Africa and I can't look like this. Anyway, I digressed. I was talking about me getting on a slim fast, not slim slow diet.
Well, love your body through the process. That's what I would suggest. Don't go crazy on some slim fast diet.
No. We're not. First of all, we're not doing that. We definitely not.
Chemical.
That was a joke for real.
Yes.
No, we're not doing that. If we can lose about 5 pounds going in, I'm good with that. If we can lose more, that's good. But we can release. Excuse me. Let me change the verdict.
Yeah,
I love release that too. The 5 pounds and let them stay gone forever. That'll be good from now to then. 5 pounds in a month is super doable. So I don't want to make these outrageous, outlandish goals that I know I'm not going to achieve. But in the meantime, in between time, I already know the body's talking to me. Is your body talking to you, audience members? If your body's talking to you, please listen.
Listen up.
Yes.
That check
what
engine
does working
light
with you look like?
Is on.
Yeah. What does working with you look like, Lynn?
Yeah, so working with me, I kind of use a lot of different tools in my toolbox. So I work with hypnosis a lot of the times with most of my clients, if they're open to it, because like we talked about at the beginning, having that work of mindset, belief, reprogramming our minds. Most people kind of only believe certain things are possible in terms of their health. We need to get rid of that.
No.
And we need to get rid of whatever's getting in the way,
right.
of you believing that you can be healthy and well. So that's part of the process. And then I also use an energy healing system called Body Talk. And that talk about understanding what our bodies are saying to us. That's really what the modality is designed to do, is to help us understand the story behind our symptoms.
What do you do with that Body Talk? I mean, what's the physical
process?
Process. Mm-hmm.
So I work with people at this point all at a distance, but it can be done, with people in person. So I use muscle testing to help me tune into what the person's body is saying. And then I'm using my intuition, and we have like all these different protocol charts that basically help guide us to the information. So it's a really cool process where I get quiet and I'm listening to the person's body. I'm listening to the person's kind of higher self, in essence, that knows, you know, the story of the symptoms, that knows what do we need to see in order to start to resolve the symptoms.
Wow. I went to a holistic doctor about 2 weeks ago, and she had this device next to her computer that had a metallic hand that you place your hand in, and it read my body symptoms, and it talked about all these things that were going on, and I was amazed. It mentioned candida, and I'm like, I remember that's yeast infection. And
or it can be yeast overgrowth in kind of the digestive system.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
So I started paying attention, and I looked up what causes this, anything fermented. And I was drinking kombucha like every day. And I was like, ooh. So I stopped drinking it every day. I still like it, but I stopped drinking it every day. And I noticed the symptoms I was having with yeast went away. And so I was like floored. That was before I went to the doctor, right? So being more intentional about your body, Lynn, it just amazes me that you can hear or know someone's body symptoms by listening to their higher self. That sends me to a woo place.
It does kind of give that vibe, but it also has a very scientific basis too, because we're using the power of quantum physics, which actually, I think, who likes to say it? Bruce Lipton, is it? He says it's like the most legitimate science, the most legitimate physics in the world. It's not kind of what we were taught growing up in high school, but quantum physics is actually
it's a thing. It's a real thing.
It's real. It's hard to explain, which is why a lot of people are like, what? That sounds really out there, but it really is true science.
I see Shani's brain just churning right now.
I mean, I'm just really kind of blown away by the whole process that you've gone through and how hard it must be for you to trust other people when it comes to anything about your body, and how that has to translate into your business. Because for someone who's had that trust broken so many times, how trustworthy you must be now. So I'm just blown away. I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to schedule mine, because I'm like, I wouldn't even know what that even looks like. Muscle testing. Okay.
They
are
testing is super cool, and I've actually started to teach people how to self-muscle test recently, which has been really a fun addition to what I'm offering.
That is really cool. We're going to have to talk more about how we couple businesses together. This is a year of collaboration, right?
Absolutely.
And Shani does Can Do Spice, which is herbs with, you tell them what it is, Shani. I'm about to bush it all up.
I've created delicious spice blends, and I mean delicious, but they also have healing benefits. So I added things like ashwagandha, black seed, burdock root, all the things that we know we need to heal from inside or don't know. So I get the conversation started, I can get it in, but I'm sneaking it in with your food.
Nice.
And in a very delicious way.
Yes, food is our first medicine, right? I mean, think for centuries, that's what people use, that herbs and natural things to heal.
Yeah, and we were living.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Living well, not just living. We made a very good living, the Ice Capades. Mark is in the background chiming in. No tofu for him, Barbara. You don't have to worry. Tofu is not, I can't even spell tofu. Okay, I'm just saying. And then he adds, okra can be very tasty and delicious. No, it can't. I don't like things, fruit or vegetables that grow with hair. I cannot.
Not with hair. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. Well, see, I have a bad taste in my mouth with okra. My dad was a cook in my house.
I love okra.
And he loved.
It's great for lowering your blood sugar. I'm just saying.
He loved okra. He loved okra. Everything, every soup had okra in it. Slimy, nasty, hairy okra.
Stop it.
I never know.
Listen, we are at the top of the hour. We have other things to talk about here besides your distaste for something that's very delicious. Lynn, is there any outtakes that you can give us for someone who is in their journey, starting their journey? Anything you want to give us?
Yeah, I think making sure that you believe that it's possible for you to get better. That's one of the things that I share with clients all the time. I talk about it in my book about not identifying with your diagnosis. That's why I called the book You Are Not Your Diagnosis, because we often think, we get the label and I think sometimes people wear it or like a badge around them. And I'm like, don't do that, please. It makes it hard for you to heal. If you think, I'm a cancer patient, I have an autoimmune condition, whatever it is, just shed the label, believe it's possible for you to heal. And know, just like your body is able to heal when you cut your finger in the kitchen, do you ever think about the healing process there? No,
you just know it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
So much. We thank you so much, Lynn. We are out of time. We thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Shani Smith, for being here and reminding me that we have so much stuff going on. We have a book coming up. August 5th is the launch of Empowering You, Let Go of the Past, Step into Your Greatness. Also, in October 13, 14, and 15, what we got going on, Shani Smith?
Sisters Inspire Sisters to Advance Retreat, a luxurious refuel for the women who are the influencers and the decision makers. Well, for the world, let's just face it. We are the CEO of our lives, of everybody's life. But yes, you want to be there. Absolutely.
In Ocean City, Maryland. So be there. We'd love to have you there. Thank you so much again, Lynn, for being here. We love you. Stay on after in the green room. We want to talk real quick. It is time. You know what time it is? Time for you to step into your greatness, because the world is waiting for you. That's our show. See you next week.
Engage, inspire, empower. That's what I help you do as a celebrity, speaker, trainer, and coach. Hi, I'm Barbara H. Smith, known as the Masterful Presenter. I am the one that can help you dig deep inside your passions and deep inside your life to get you to the place you always dreamed.
I had the pleasure of hearing Miss Barbara Holmes Smith speak today, and just from her speaking to me today, I have realized that I need to have personalized my alter ego and be able to put myself out there a lot more.
I help through speaking techniques, teaching you how to use your words and your body language to inspire people to come up higher.
Today's presentation with Ms. Barbara was just outstanding. She has really helped me with her personality, with her being so genuine and passionate about what she believes in and helping to coach, train. Her sense of humor, her energy is just incredible.
How do I do that? By coaching and speaking and training. I help you with whatever it is that you want to do next. What is your next? Are you ready to take your life, your career to the next level? I can get you there. Contact me at www.barbarahsmith.com.